Activate your energy.
Welcome to the Activated Authors Podcast, a show where we distill the core principles of what it takes to become a happy, healthy, and productive author, no matter what stage of the journey you're at. I'm your host, Daniel Willcocks. I'm an international best-selling author, as well as an author coach, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. But most importantly, I'm a lifelong student of all things productivity, psychology, and human behavior. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Without further ado, let's dive in. What is up, activators, and welcome to 20 Mother Humpin' 23.
Did you say Mother Humping because Chase is here?
Why would I say it? Because Chase is here.
Because he humps. Oh.
That's a hella dance from a pub to kick off the year.
Because we're very happy that we don't have to do it 2022 anymore. It's done, it's dead, and I never have to see it again.
Yes, happy new year and welcome to a fresh new year for everyone. I think that's how time works.
Yeah.
Full disclosure for anyone that might have missed last week's, we are recording this on the 22nd of December, so a lot of this is, what's the opposite of posthumously? Prehumously?
Prehumously.
I guess.
Alive.
Yeah.
Before death.
Yeah, and so the intro is going to be a bit different to normal. One thing that I used to do with like Next Level Authors and Great Writer Share was make predictions for how I think the Christmas period.
No, fuck that.
Not going to do that. Last year I did that and got COVID. So all that went out the window. So we're not going to pretend like we know what happened. What happened will happen and has happened as of the time you're hearing this, thanks to the passage of time and the infiniteness of recording.
Nope.
But yeah, like it is now 2023, which means that we're going to have a full episode all about goals and plans and all that kind of good stuff for the year ahead. Again, if you've not listened to last week's episode in which we've kind of covered some reflections and looked at an analysis of 2022.
And we're wearing different Christmas jumpers, sorry.
We're recording this like 5 minutes apart, but we're wearing different Christmas jumpers because we're committed to the bit.
Yeah.
I should really just tear this Christmas tree down and just like throw it now. I won't, because Bailey will be very upset. I'm not joking. Like when I say he did all of that, bar the tinsel and the lights. He has 8 and he assembled the tree and he decorated it.
That's really cute. I did mine all on my own because.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Oh, that lasts still the 5 minutes. Not even that. But yeah, so highly recommend going back and checking the last episode. This episode, I don't actually see this being potentially all that long. We'll see how it goes. But
I thought we weren't making predictions.
There you go. But what we will do before we dive into the topic is I am going to snatch a win from the community that I haven't had the chance to shout out last year, which is the wonderful Jeff Adams, who is one of the guys from the Big Gay Fiction podcast. Does some amazing things over on that podcast and all of his fiction and stuff. And just wanted to shout out that his Content for Everyone website went live. And we'll put a link in the show notes, but is working very, very diligently on making it so that people understand how important accessibility can be on your website, in your books, so that you're not missing out a huge subsection of possible readers and audience who might be interested in what you've got to say. Pro tip, don't put pink on yellow.
Or yellow on white, just for anybody.
Like just make it so there's contrast and people can see it. But yeah, we'll put that in the show notes if you want to jump over and find out more about all of that stuff. But huge congrats. I know Jeff's been working on that for like months now. So to see it come to life. Like I love that part where you know that someone's been working on something and then you see it just appear in the ether and you're like, yeah, it's happening. It's here. It wasn't there and now it's here. Creation.
And on the 7th day, he punned.
Oh, start strong. So, I mean, yeah, let's get into the good stuff. So goals and plans. Do you want to go first or would you like me to go first?
Why don't you go first? Because like, I don't traditionally plan this early. So I've done as deep a surface level thing as I can because like I sit down for a good day, 2 days with no one around me and just like properly dive into it. And currently my son is on Christmas holidays and my sister is staying with me for a few days. So I don't have like the mental capacity or space to do something like this in its kind of full breadth. And like I say, I wouldn't normally anyway. I usually do it after Christmas, before the new year, but like after Christmas in that kind of like weird week that doesn't exist in actual time and space. So yeah, why don't you go first? Because I know that you've had a lot more.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I'll quickly hopefully people find this useful. I'll quickly kind of go over how I do my goals, because it's changed a little bit this year actually.
You said you do.
Do once again, take a shot. I'm going to shout out to Luke Condor, who kind of got me onto the whole goal train. But just the goat.
I'm going to say it every time you say his name now.
He's a condor, not a goat. But I've kind of gone in many different directions with goals over the years and tried lots of different things. And like broadly speaking, I'm committed to the idea that smart goals make sense. Like there's a reason that whenever people are like, when you make goals, make them smart, because like it's just a framework that works. Like for me to say, next year I'm going to lose weight. Like there's nothing to that. There's no substance. There's no
That's a wish.
Yeah, there's no commitment to a path that will get you to that goal. So for people unfamiliar with smart goals, the S is for specific. So I'm going to lose weight. How much weight are you going to lose? I'm going to go running. How many times are you going to go running? How far are you going to go running? Like, I want to write more. How many words? Like, getting specific about your goal makes it much, much easier to achieve and to track and to work towards it. And then speaking of tracking, measurable, make it measurable. So like put an actual value on the thing that you're trying to achieve, so that you know if you get there or not. Like, I want to lose weight. You could lose a pound and you've won. You've lost weight. Or you can say like, I want to lose a stone or 2 stone. I'm only going to weight because that tends to be the general New Year's resolution example. Yeah. So specific, measurable, achievable. So if we're talking about writing in this instance, if you spent most of 2022 writing 300 words a day, don't then commit to 10,000 words a day, because that jump up might be manageable in the long run, but it's going to be a long journey and a hard journey to get here. So achievable in that instance, I'd probably say like 350, 400 words, because percentage wise, you're increasing massively. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic. Again, make it so that it's actually within your wheelhouse of being able to achieve it.
Yeah.
And then time bound. So set an actual time. Like, are you going to lose that weight by April? Are you going to write those words by May? Are you going to, whatever it is, like actually put a time value on it. And so with that said, the goals and the things I'm really talking about at the minute aren't yet smart goals, but by the time that this airs, will be time goals. Because I'm very much in the same situation you. I've kind of nailed down roughly where I'm heading, but not yet made them specific. That's something I'm working on. But the other side of goals that I've changed my outlook on for this year is very much, I am considerably less interested in the end goal and much more interested in the journey. And what I mean by that is that this year, through lots of personal challenges, lots of upheaval, lots of changes, lots of different things, coupled with my author activation matrix that I did for myself, has highlighted the fact that my habits have dropped off of a cliff. So actually getting into the rhythm of things and sticking with things and stuff has been very difficult for me this year because of the constant sort of turbulence. And so most of my goals this year are centered around habits and creating systems that are going to push me forward. So less about like the macro, as it were, and much more about the day-to-day. What is it I need to do to complete that day? Because over time, as I've done before, those daily things that you do will compound, they will scale, and the end goals will kind of happen as it is. And also I think like, and we kind of touched on routine a few weeks ago, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's very much, it can be very, very powerful. So all of that prelude set up, I've narrowed down next year to 2 keywords, essentially. And I've divided those into personal and professional. So for personal, it is habit. Like, one thing I really want to do is sort out my morning routine, my morning hygiene, because I have been very suckered into social media and and all the reels and all that kind of stuff. And I've just not been as good at kind of sticking to certain times and trying to get into that habit. And I do remember that one of the times that I worked best was when I was in the day job and you had to get up at certain times, because like it just got you rolling. There'll be some trial and error, because at the minute I'm still trying to work out like the better time for me to get up in the morning, better time for me to go to bed and that kind of stuff. But that's something I want to focus on. Similarly, my evening routine. So that kind of like, what, for want of a better word, hygiene, time off, phone off by a certain time, like, winding down, all those kind of things, just to give me some space to work towards the morning, because they couple together, they compound, and quality sleep is a big thing. So
right.
two somewhat simple things. Something else, so an exercise routine, and I want that to be a mix of stretching, because I've started to find that like my limbs are seizing up. I'm like, I'm gonna be 32 this year, and I hurt myself by sitting on this chair.
Mate,
I don't get it. So some form of stretching, also incorporated with the gym habit that I've been building the last couple of months, mostly strength training, considering throwing running into there, because running, when I'm into it, is meditation, and it's very rewarding. But at the same time, I don't want to overload myself if I'm also strength training and doing too much exercise. So again, like, this will be formulated. And then the other thing is a writing routine of 1,000 words a day, which, like, without tooting my own horn, for me, that is somewhat easy.
Extremely doable.
Yeah, like that's like 20-25 minutes a day, which is hardly anything for me at this point. So I want to do that regularly. I want to do that consistently. I want to do that on projects that bring me light and bring me joy. And that is kind of that focus there. So that's my personal side of stuff. Shall I go straight into professional, or do you want to do some of yours first?
You can go straight into professional. That's fine.
Okay. So professional for me, again, I think we might have touched on a few weeks ago, is the word is marketing. So it's slowing down on my emphasis on creating things and just focusing much more on the outreach, and getting to new readers, getting to new authors to jump in and like show how activated authors can benefit what they do. And that's a kind of a mix of sorting out some kind of marketing schedule, which covers everything from social media to newsletters to appearances to events, all that kind of stuff. I want to make a sort of bucket of evergreen assets. So for people who might not know what that means, if you do, I don't mean to patronize. But something that I learned in one of my old day jobs was, like, we get very focused on promoting the new and promoting the exciting, and forgetting that, like, we already have like a raft of things that there are people out there that haven't seen. And you need to be promoting your core service, your core product, as well as the extra stuff. And like, we do loads of stuff with activated authors, like each and every week. And so just putting that stuff out there and just keeping it in the eye line so that people know what's going on. Because I will say, like, I've not been great at this year. Reach out to more people, and then I'm creating or actually, by the time this airs, some of these will already be online, but I'm creating more free resources, or as I like to call them, free sources. For I knew you'd appreciate that. Just for people to download. So by the time this airs, I will have a self-publishing checklist for free that you can download on activatedauthors.com.
Free, only $19.99.
It's free, just $19.99. So that's literally a step-by-step checklist to you helping, like, work through the things that you need to do to make your book go to publish and then beyond. There will also be the author activation matrix, which is a tool to help you diagnose where you're at in your author life, and kind of some of that's mental health is the wrong word, but like it kind of identifies the areas in your life that you might need to pay attention to in order to be more productive with your author business. And then I've got some other things in the work as well, but yeah, kind of just putting more stuff out there that, if I feel like it helps authors, putting out there to help authors. And so it's like, actually next year I've made it deliberately very, very simple for me, because the habits themselves, the habits themselves are going to be a challenge to get into. Like, we think we read the stat before where it can take like anywhere from 8 days to 264 days or something for a habit to cement itself, thanks to the latest research. But I know that by implementing those habits, the rest of it shall flow. And for me, the focus is very much like become a healthier, more alert version of myself, and continue that journey I'm already on, and then also build activated authors into a powerhouse in the author community. So there it is. That's mine. Over to Samantha Frost. Humphrey. Your secret is out.
That I'm a cheap prostitute.
What?
Hump free.
Oh, there we go. Did not make that connection.
There you go. When it's your, I was going to say career, but vocation.
Let's go for vacation. What are your goals for next year, Sam?
Well,
How did you approach your goals?
I will tell you.
Good, because I've asked.
You just asked me how I spread my goals.
How you created your goals.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. I heard spread. I thought you was doing a bit because I basically
You're
just
back on the
called myself
Humphreys.
a free prostitute.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm fine. I'm gonna yawn.
Achieved.
So I can tick that one off. Already did that. Okay, so what I am focusing on, actually kind of similar to you, and I spoke about this, I think, last week in one of the sprints. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm exhausted. Which is, I want to get back to basics, but that doesn't apply to me because I was never there. Like, you have to have been somewhere to go back there. So I want to get to basics, I guess. So Dan kindly referred to me as basic bitch. So I've taken that on. Basic bitch 2.0. That's what's happening. That's next year. Yeah. So personal wise, I've just written words down, very much similar to Dan. Oh my God. They will be smarted. And, you know, also likely to change because this is just kind of off the dome thinking. So I've got body, and with that comes like self-love. I've picked up a brush from somewhere. I just realized I've got it in my hand.
That happened.
Yeah, look, I'm a creative person. I have paintbrushes everywhere. All right. Yeah, Dan's got a sock, a glove. Okay, that makes more sense. So yeah, so I've written down body, and by that, it's about me continuing to honor my body and accept my body, and as you know, like I was about to say as I'm aging, but that makes me sound like 80 something. But we're all aging. But like as I age, just accepting my body and like honoring it and saying thank you and appreciating it for what it's done. Particularly around my stomach. I've got real issues. I'm a woman. I think a lot of women have issues around their stomach. But I've had a kid and it's like there's stretch marks and all the rest of it. And for the longest time, I found that extremely, not just difficult, but painful. And so it's about just kind of continuing on that journey of accepting my body and like just kind of finding a way to say thank you to it by treating it properly. So I've got walking and yoga and gym and food and like rest, basically. I want to really kind of hone down on kicking this insomnia in its arse because it's really fucked with me, especially hard this year. And it's going to be a challenge, I'm sure, but I want to get to the point where I can, for the most part, go to bed and wake up and feel human.
Yep.
Instead of just be yawning all the time and in a constant brain fog. And then one day realize that I am Tyler Durden. Like, I don't need that in my life. So yeah, that's kind of around body, and similar to you, just things like morning routines and evening routines, and kind of just putting myself before anything else in the day. Like, I don't care how pressing the deadline is, like I am allowed to brush my teeth and I can wash my face and have a bath and read and do whatever I need to do in the morning to get myself into a place to then step into my day in a way where I am on the front foot and the best version of myself that I can be on that day. So I really want to focus on that. And with that comes boundaries. So like, I'm a huge believer in boundaries. I don't think enough people employ them. I don't think enough people respect them. And it's, you know, they're difficult things to deploy in your life, because it's not like you don't just set up a boundary and then it's done. Like, you have to keep like reinforcing them. So just kind of doubling down on that work, and looking at like places where some boundaries need to be set.
Yeah.
I really want to look at my relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that fills me with fear and shame, and just this general feeling of like, I feel very much victim around it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't, there's just a lot of stuff around money, like personal stuff, like, you know, childhood stuff, or like we all have. I think everyone's got a very complicated relationship with lots of things in their lives. Money is one of those things for me. So I really want to kind of focus on my finances. Also, a big shout out to Emmy, because she recommended a book, which was then very generously gifted to me, which is called How to Keep House While Drowning. And it's written by a woman who is herself neurodivergent, and it's aimed at people with neurodivergence. And it, like, within the first 5 pages, I think I cried like 3 times just from the relief of reading something, a self-help situation where I felt like I was centered in the narrative, as opposed to having to like try and figure out a way to like fit myself into it. So I'm going to be like, I'm about halfway through that at the minute. And it's already been incredibly helpful, and I've used a lot of the stuff in that. So I really want to go through that and kind of use some of the frameworks in there, because they make sense to me. Until I can make sense of things, it's very difficult for me to employ them. And yeah, like it was a breath of fresh air. So yeah, that's definitely something that I want to like use going forward. Again, if we're looking at the idea of back to basics, just kind of having as much as possible like a good environment for my body to be in, and I want my body to be a good environment for my mind to be in, because, you know, I live in both of those things, and I deserve to live in like comfort and without the constant feeling of shame or claustrophobia over me, which I often get. I've got mental health written down here, and then underneath best me checklist. So I made a checklist, I think it was a month or so ago, on my Notion homepage, which is just, I made a little list of things that I have noticed that when I'm feeling the best in my body, in my mind, and all the rest of it, most, if not all of these things are usually always present. So I want to kind of use that as a, just like a thing that I can put in whatever I'm using, whether it's a planner or whatever, to like, if I'm starting to feel off or whatever, I can just look at it and be like, okay, which one of these things or like group of these things aren't in alignment right now, and what could I like try? And of course, like, it's a very simplistic way of looking at things. Like, mental illness isn't that simple, but it's the same as like, if you've broken your leg, you can be in excruciating pain, or you can take a painkiller and then work with it.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I'm looking at finding my own like versions of painkillers that aren't easy buttons, that are like just knowing myself and using those things. And then onto kind of lighter, more fun stuff. I really like, I've been trying to learn the guitar this year, and it's not gone great because this year has been a lot. So kind of, when I've sorted everything out, I want to I was using an app before, and it is a paid app, but I think it's like 40 quid for the year. So I think once I've figured out stuff, I'd like to gift myself that, so that I can then practice. So guitar, I've got down sewing because I enjoy sewing and it brings me like relief and like meditation and all the rest of it, as in like cross stitch.
Yeah.
And then I've just put me time, which kind of should go with boundaries as well, because I also need to set up those boundaries for myself. Just because I tend to over extend on a lot of stuff.
We're the hardest people to set boundaries for ourselves, not just like us two, but like setting your own boundaries is freaking hard. But then once you set your own boundaries, it's then not easier, but it's workable in setting boundaries with others.
Yeah.
Do what I do, just move miles away from people so they can't like bug you.
Mate, I tried that and they followed me.
Yeah.
And then I've just put creativity and play, because like I think especially now that I have established a business, a limited company, it's going to be very easy to slip into kind of everything that I make has to be for a purpose. Yes. And I am like really against that as a general rule. Like I literally wrote an entire fucking poem about like not everything you make has to be sold.
You can now buy it on Sam's website for £20.
Yeah, you can. No, you can't. But yeah, so just this idea of just finding the play in it. There's a reason I love it. Like I was working, and I can't say too much because even though it's the new year for the listeners, it's not yet been Christmas for us as we're recording this. So like I've been working with some new materials and I was just like, this is so much fun. I've really enjoyed it. Nice. So yeah, just kind of, reminding myself that it's fun. I want to get a tattoo. I want to listen to music every day, or a new tattoo. I have tattoos, but I want a new one. I want to listen to music every day because it makes me happy. And I always forget that until I start listening to it. And I'm like, why don't I do this every day? Read more, go to things. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've got down. Yeah. I suppose I should put people in there somewhere. But yeah.
I mean, there's loads there. It's awesome.
That's just my personal stuff. Do you want me to do professional?
I mean, let me just do
wow.
We'll get to it. Don't you worry.
I mean, you did both, sure.
And I might do both again. Who knows? But I've just seen that I've also got like a list here of like things I want to do in 2023. It's not necessarily like goals. It's just like again, just like stuff. And some of that is like I've so I think last week I say last week, it was like an hour ago and I don't even remember it. I spoke on the fact that I've been like reading things subconsciously for other people in a way. And so one of the things that I really want to focus on next year is reading. I'm lowering my book count for how many books I want to read next year. But with the specific aim of like, I want to read like quality books I want to read. And also I want to remove the tracking from the reading because it becomes like a to-do. I have to tick off. But I did want to add as well that like, there are other goals and things that I've got ahead for next year that like I've got, because I think at the minute mine sound, because they focus on process. I do also know what my main goal is, and I have like an income goal that I need to reach. But again, by focusing on the habit side of stuff, on like the smaller little things on the daily journey, with that end goal in mind, I can then work towards that. But yeah, over to your professional goals.
Okay, so Knife Turned Pen, Blood Turned Ink will be released. The book, the audiobook, the visual album, and the audio of the visual album will be out next year. I'm very excited about that. And I've written film and Kickstarter under there because they both they're umbrellaed in that. Heir to the Universe, I want to, if not have published by the end of next year, be in like a damn good spot to be ready to go for 24. Just I'm trying to try this focus on one thing at a time thing, and it upsets me, but I'm trying. I would like to like messy first draft working title Phoenix in Nano.
Nice. Yep.
And then I've got, as more like vague stuff, write new poetry, look into getting audiobook clients. I've written down blog and vlog, like I said in last week's episode. It's something that I'm wanting to kind of do more of. Specifically vlogging, I really enjoy it, but at the moment the only thing I can record on is my phone, which is an issue because, number one, it seems to just decide to swallow footage. Like I lost an entire vlog that I recorded, and like I'm not doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
And also a lot of the work that I do, I need my phone.
Yes.
And so using my phone to record me doing stuff is very problematic when I need the thing that's recording me to do the thing that I'm recording.
Yep.
It's a whole thing. So I need to try and like find a way of getting a camera that is like a really good quality that I can afford. So yes, that I would also, like a pipe dream, stretch goal, whatever, is to like have a proper shop like on Etsy, and increase the stuff on Redbubble when I decide to properly like open that up to people. Yep. And then I also have a financial goal, which I'm gonna say because I feel like to a lot of people this is going to be tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, this is all money that like my business will have made. So £5,000 for the year, not a month, which is like a tiny amount of money for a year. But that's like, at the minute I've looked at the kind of what I'm making like already, just like the little bits, and then I've added other like bits and pieces that I think potentially could work, and then I rounded it up. So it's like, you know, it's achievable. And like, yeah, would I be like £250,000? Sure, let's start with 5.
Yep.
And we'll go from there. So that's that. And I would like to decide on a charity that, much like Activated Authors gives to World Land Trust. I would like to find, it's going to be so difficult finding one, but find a charity to kind of just give a percentage of all my earnings to. I often joke that Dan is saving the world, as with like the World Land Trust. That's the kind of charity that is looking at preserving and saving the world. And while he does that, I'm looking at making the world worth saving.
Yep. Oh my god, that was a fun argument I had with so it was a person in my life. Like, why are you going for the World Land Trust? Because the way that I think about it is that if the planet isn't in the state that it should be, then nothing else really matters, because we're not going to be here if the planet fights against us. But what about like poor animals and things? Like, yep, looking after those by looking after the planet. Like my thinking is very much top level, but I could not like communicate to this person who was very, very
weird,
offended.
isn't it? Like, you try and do a good thing and they're annoyed at you that you've chosen that good thing.
I can't ever do a good thing in the right way. I had a person when we were doing the Ukraine campaign that was like, well, what about this problem? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize in trying to like help one, I had to like be accountable for every single one of them. It's why
a lot of people don't stand up, because the second you stand up, it's like, well, why aren't you standing up for everything else? It's like, because I'm one person.
Yeah.
If we all stood up for one thing, it would like, these arguments wouldn't be needed, but people would rather like pull people down off you know, a step.
They should tally. This is stupid. Like, take none of what I'm saying seriously. They should tally each charity how many people they need for that particular thing, and then just fill a roster. And when it's full, that whoever wants to donate next has to go to someone else. So you just go wherever there's vacancies.
Yeah. And then the last thing, which is to do with Activated Authors, is I want to kind of look into, and this is all very like vague and stuff and things, and I won't be too specific, but like when we had a meeting with our members to look at kind of things that they'd like to see coming in the next year, and I mentioned a few things in there that they seemed to be happy with. So there are stuff and things that I would like to work on with our community in the new year. So that's kind of off the top of my dome. That's what I've got.
Yeah, there are definitely a few things activated authors wise that are in the musings at this point. Just looking ahead at next year, like a lot of what we're already doing that's fundamentally core to the stuff that we do is unchanging. But yeah, we've got some ideas for possible stuff to do next year. You've got some ideas which we need to actually sit down and talk about before we return to usual proceedings. But yeah, there's some fun stuff coming up ahead that's quite exciting. So bam. So there, we got a list of things to focus on for next year. Be really interested to hear from any of the listeners. So if you've got like,
I was gonna say, I'd really like to hear like what other people are planning.
Yeah, let us know your goals 2023. And also one of the things that we're looking at implementing that might already be up by the time it says, don't know yet, is some more accountability stuff into activated authors. So I've got many ideas as of time of recording that could look like, but we're already beginning to get rolling on, people pledging what they're going to do for the month ahead and like rolling into that. So like you can come on over and use activated authors as your accountability partner. So yeah. But yeah, I think
no, you're wrong. It doesn't, because now this is only really relevant for people that are watching on YouTube, but I will describe it for people that are listening. Dan has possibly the best Christmas jumper of all time on. So to set the scene, I'm for people listening, I'm wearing a black and white striped jumper with candy cane hearts on, and Dan
Christmas
is
in the Jailhouse Rock.
Hey, yeah, Jailhouse Candy Rock. And Dan is wearing, yes, please stand. Dan is wearing Lord of the Rings and Christmas vomited on a sweater in the best possible way. It is glorious, and
it's so offensive.
I love it.
It's come out pink on the camera, but it's like red in real life, like this bit.
It does look a little pink, but yeah, it's incredible. And it also goes to show that Instagram marketing works.
Oh yeah, that's been coming at me for like 2 years. But also I realized that like every Christmas I keep buying these crappy Christmas jumpers, and I saw this one and I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy like a quality one, like as in like material quality, and also design that I can keep each year. And also my so I'm going to be at my parents for Christmas, and they've not seen this yet, and like I'm very, very looking forward to like my mum's reaction, because it's very garish.
I am very interested in hearing the report back.
I have Sauron. I love it. But yeah, that brings us to the end, I suppose, for the first episode of 2023. Yeah, happy New Year, everyone. And I'm very, very excited to see what this year brings. With any luck, I don't want to say it. I'm not going to say it because I know that it's just a jinx. But hopefully for everyone listening to this, you have all the fantastic luck and success and things this year. And obviously we'll be around every single week for you to listen to us nattering about all things authorship. We've got some guests that will be coming up in the very near future, and we'll be running some series and doing some other bits and pieces, so watch out for those. But now we'll say a massive thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in. We appreciate you and the time we should spend with us each and every week. ActivatedAuthors.com to find out all about our community, our resources, everything else we've got going on. One more time, from myself and from Sam, we will see you next week.
Goodbye. And let us not forget that until December, I am the victor of the Christmas quiz.
Jesus Christ. All right, bye.
Activate your energy.